All right. Hello, guys. I'm so excited. I have my friend Katie Dodd here, who is the blogging queen. She is just absolutely incredible, and she's going to talk to us today about her blogging journey and what things she has in store to help people. Blogging is a really great opportunity for passive income and to escape burnout. And, that's what this community is for. So, finding ways to escape healthcare burnout. So, welcome, Katie. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Katie, I kind of want to just start like, how do you think that blogging can help someone to escape healthcare burnout? Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about that? I know some people think blogging is dead in 2025, but I know that that's not true.
Yes, yes. Well, I'll kind of share a little bit of my story, a little bit about me, and then kind of share how blogging really helped me to escape burnout. So, my name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a registered dietitian. I became a dietitian in 2008, got my first job right out of school working for the VA in home care. And it was a very good job. It was actually very wonderful as far as dietitian jobs go. I had a good boss, which makes all the difference between having a job that's lovely and not. So, I feel like it was pretty good. I mean, I wasn't super burnt out in my job, but I got to the point where because what I now realize is I am an entrepreneur at heart. So when I was working in the VA, I became an intrapreneur. And what that meant is I took on more than I needed to take on. I joined committees, I started doing projects. I mean, I was doing crazy stuff. I was making maps for the VA, I was running bike rides. I mean, I was doing so much crazy entrepreneurial stuff in the VA. And then eventually what was like Katie going above and beyond became an expectation. And I got to the point where I'm like, well, golly, I'm doing the work of like four or five people. And I think I was getting close to the point of burnout because I was doing so much work, not just my job. And I kind of got there by my own fault. I just loved doing it, but I was getting close to burnout. But I will say I don't think that I completely burnt out in my job, but I know I would have. My personality is I'm very optimistic. I'm very positive about everything. And so if I look back, there probably was some burnout. I did have some like coworkers who were starting to be unkind. I did have some issues that were going on, but my attitude, I'm like, everything is awesome. So I can look back now and see how, well, maybe things weren't as great as I made them seem. But I think for me, one of the tipping points was money. I thought that I'm going to become a dietitian. I'm going to get a regular job. I'm going to have enough money to support myself, my family, all the things. And what I found was having children is very expensive. And I just felt like I was living paycheck to paycheck. I felt like I could not get ahead. Unpaid maternity leave at that time was tough. And so I kind of fell into the world of side hustling where I was doing kind of like additional work on the side. So VA paid me and they paid me fine. It just wasn't enough. And then I was like doing freelance writing, doing webinars, doing some work with brands. I was essentially working with other people and I was doing what I like to call trading time for money. Now, trading time for money, and I'm not sure how much you've talked about this in your community, Tiffany, but I think this is what most healthcare professionals are taught. Hourly pay for hourly work. We graduate, we get a job 40 hours a week, we get paid for 40 hours a week. If we're an entrepreneur, we make money by seeing patients. We trade time for money. And while I was not seeing patients in my side hustles, I was still trading time for money. I was still doing webinars. I was still doing um, freelance writing where I'd get a contract and I'd have to do that work. Once I do the work, I get paid one and done. So I know this is a long roundabout story, but I'm going somewhere. So, so I was a side hustler, trading time for money, working full time at the VA, super positive attitude while probably I was slowly drowning. And and I will say along this journey, I didn't self-identify as an entrepreneur because I thought that entrepreneurs had to work with patients, and I had no idea, like no interest in working with patients outside of the VA. I am a bit of an introvert, so the idea of calling patients on the telephone, scheduling visits, dealing with insurance, I mean, that sounded horrible. So I didn't self-identify as an entrepreneur till 2019. So we're speeding up the story. We're in 2008, now we're 2019. So I was at a conference in Seattle, Washington, and it was a dietitian conference. And there happened to be three speakers at this conference who were entrepreneurs. And they were the most amazing entrepreneurs. And I remember sitting in the audience and I felt like they were speaking directly to me. There was one session, it was on worksite wellness, and she was talking about how businesses are looking for healthcare professionals. And she looked in the audience and she said, they're looking for you. And I'm like, they're looking for me. I don't know who's looking for me, but someone's looking for me. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but I just took it to heart. Like, I am an entrepreneur and I'm going to do something big. I just don't know what it is. But I got really inspired in that moment to realize I was an entrepreneur. So a month or two later, I discovered the world of blogging. And that changed the game for me because first off, I didn't know you could make money through blogging. I thought that a blog was like your diary, right? Like you write about what you ate, what you did, your thoughts on different things, and your parents read it, your neighbors read it, your family read it. But I didn't realize that blogging is a legit way to make money as a healthcare professional, as an entrepreneur, as all the things. So when I learned about how to make money blogging the first time, I was blown away. I'm like, yes, sign me up. At this point, I was already doing freelance writing. And I started having this epiphany of I'm spending all of my time and my talents building someone else's dreams. And I'll give you an example. When I was doing freelance writing, I would get a contract. So maybe I would write an article, I'd get paid 150 bucks. I would write it, I would give it to them. I would get paid one and done. I would never make any money off of that again. But as the business owner, they were having me write this content because they knew that they could use this content to continue to grow their business and make even more money. And so I just started getting all these epiphanies of, well, gosh, I am such a mover and a shaker, and I'm hustling and grinding and getting close to burnout for other people's dreams, but not my own. So after I discovered the world of blogging, I went crazy in the world of entrepreneurship. I started buying online courses. I started finding coaches, people who have done what I wanted to do, and I started paying them money to show me what to do. Like, tell me what to do, and I will do it. And I got to work. In June of 2019, I published my very first blog called The Geriatric Dietitian. Now, I worked in the VA and home care, and so I was a geriatric dietitian. I'm actually a board certified specialist in gerontological nutrition. It's my specialty. I'm very passionate about it. And I think working in the VA, which is a really good job for a healthcare professional, I guess it depends on like every VA is a little different, but my VA was lovely. And so what I loved about my job is I got to see all the clients, not just the ones who were malnourished. I didn't just get people when they were like sick and now it's like try to fix them. I actually got to see them before they got sick so I could make sure they didn't get sick. And I was like, yes, we need more of this in the world. And what I realized is through a blog, I could spread the message of geriatric nutrition to the masses. Because most people never work with a dietitian. They just don't, especially a geriatric dietitian. We don't think of that, right? Like I can go into the weeds on that, but essentially, I started my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian, and I'll kind of hit on some more points, I'm sure, as we share in this conversation. But there is a right way and a wrong way to blog if you want to monetize it. If you want a hobby blog, like the one I talked about, like, mom reads it, neighbors read it, sure, you could do whatever. But there's a very specific strategy if you want to make money blogging, making sure that you build your website on the right platform, lots of little intricacies in how you build it. Learning search engine optimization. This is the strategy on how we drive traffic to our website to, so people actually find the website essentially. Making sure that you niche down and are speaking to specific people, because if you try to talk to everyone, no one will hear you. So there's lots of strategy that goes into building a blog business. But I was gangbuster, started my blog in June of 2019, and I started growing traffic. No, let me back up actually. Right away, blogging is not a get rich quick scheme. Honestly, nothing to get rich quick scheme. And if anyone tries to like sell that, don't listen to them. Any business takes time to grow, including blogging. Blogging for most blogs, it could take anywhere from 6 to 9 months before the major search engines even start listing your blog because so many people start websites every single day. So, it takes a while, but once you start ranking on these big search engines, traffic goes bananas. So about 9 months into my blog game, that's when traffic started going berserk. Traffic started growing. I started adding streams of income, and I can talk more about what that looked like as we go. So essentially, I've got traffic, I've got streams of income, I'm making money blogging. I'm like, holy cow, this is so cool. As a home care dietitian, I only saw a few people a day. I mean, I had to drive. I live in Southern Oregon, lots of drive time. But with this blog, I'm like, I help thousands of people every day. It's the coolest thing as a healthcare professional because when we talk about burnout, I think some of the burnout comes from we got into the field of healthcare because we want to help people. Then we get into these jobs and we're like, I am not helping people. I am like a cog in a wheel and I am not like, you just feel really frustrated. And so there's something about knowing that you're helping people and helping so many people that just feels so good. It's like, yes, this is why I got into the field because I want to help people. And I could help people on such a larger scale through online business, through blogging than I ever could have in my traditional job. So that certainly helps. The other thing that helps is the time freedom, because one of the beautiful things about blogging is that it is a way to make money through multiple streams of income, including passive income. I feel like I'm sure you have more questions for me, Tiffany, but I might be, if I start answering them, hopefully that's okay. So, passive income essentially is where you create something once. You have a system in place to drive people to that thing, but then essentially I like to call it like making money in your sleep. I wake up, I check my phone, I'm like, huh, I made money. I didn't do anything. Now, of course, it's not like magical free money, right? If passive income meant I don't do work, everyone would do that, right, to make money. But with blogging, you take time to build your blog, build your traffic. Once you get traffic, you put out offers that you know your ideal client wants, and you have these systems in place to sell. And it's a wonderful way to make passive income. So that's what my blogs do for me. They make thousands of dollars in passive income every single month. I make money through multiple ways on the blog, but what's so cool about it is I'm not trading time for money. That helps with the whole burnout thing too, right? I don't have to be working 40 hours a week to be making this money. I just have to know the right way to leverage passive income. And it does take time, right strategy, intention to do it. But once I started making money blogging through the geriatric dietitian, I created another blog. High Calorie Recipes. It is a food blog that helps people stop unintended weight loss. I started that blog, built traffic, started making money through that brand. Now, along this time, I ended up starting a little podcast called Dietitian Side Hustle because I'm like, I got to tell all the dietitians all the cool things we could do on the side without working with patients. And as time moved on, I started helping other dietitians and healthcare professionals. I wanted to show them how to do what I did. Like, hey guys, we don't have to, be burning ourselves out. There's another way. There's another way that we could help people provide massive value and make money, and probably more money than we're making in a traditional job. Fast forward to the end of 2021, I actually left my full-time job at the VA, which it was a good job, good pay, good benefits, but I left that job and I became a full-time entrepreneur. So blogging for me was how I escaped healthcare burnout. And I was able to escape before I was truly burnt out. I think probably, like I said, looking back, I was probably getting a little crispy, not full burnt out, but my attitude, I would have been like probably sent to the hospital before I truly burnt out because I'm like, everything's fine. But blogging helped me to escape healthcare burnout because it gave me an opportunity to create my own brand, my own business. Now I spend my time and my talents building my own dreams. I have my own audience. I have my own offers. I am my own boss. I don't have to ask someone permission to take time off. I have a completely flexible schedule and it's the best thing ever. I help people, I make money. I'm a mom of two kids, so I get to drive them to school. I'm here when they get off the bus, or I pick up my son, but my daughter takes the bus home. So I get to spend time with my kids. It was Mother's Day yesterday. Yes, it was Mother's Day. And this Thursday, I'm actually taking the day off to just go spend time with my mom. We're going to go on an adventure, go on some hikes, some fun stuff together. And I don't have to ask someone permission to do that. I don't have to make sure I have enough leave balance to do that. I have time freedom. I have autonomy to do what I want to do. And so for me, blogging is a wonderful way to escape healthcare burnout because you're building your own brand and it just allows you so much flexibility with whatever you want to do. And I did see a comment here, Christine, who's on. She's currently working at the VHA as a medical biller and coder. So in Florida. So VA friend. I still have a big heart for VA. One of my favorite, it's the mission of the VA. I mean, regardless of whatever about the VA, the mission of serving our nation's veterans is such a privilege. So thank you for working there.
Yeah, I actually did my internship at a VA too. I did the Cleveland VA, so I came from that background as well.
Yeah, I did my internship at the Southern Illinois VA.
Oh, okay. So you had your internship at the VA and you went. on to work there.
Yeah, that's when I fell in
Nice.
love with VA. I thought I would work
Yeah.
there forever. I planned to work there until I was 68 and a half years old, retire with my pension with benefits, but this life's so much better.
Right. And I always love when you share that part of your story about how you really loved your job and you're just, I won't get into it, but your goals on like, oh, I'm going to make this much money. And then you're like, wow, I can make so much more money than that being out on my own. One thing that really stood out for me was you talked about being an intrapreneur. And I actually never really thought of that before, but that's kind of what I'm always speaking to is when we're really good at what we do, we're given more and more and more on our plate. And we want to be good, so we don't say no.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that can lead us to burning out. And I know that it was for me. But I won't get into that because that's kind of a different topic. But and then you mentioned you would do your freelancing and it was one and done.
Yes.
And that is just like, that's the beauty of like the digital world and being your own boss is that you can take the time to create something and it's not one and done. It's one and it's over and over and over and over and over again. And you can monetize from those things as many times as you want to. So that's the beauty of, doing these different types of digital side hustles.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Katie. Okay, so I want to
Can I share
know.
one more thing,
Yeah,
actually? I want to
absolutely.
touch base. I just pulled up. I'm like, "Do," and I found it. So I want to pull up the example of freelance writing because I
Yeah,
want to be able to put this into perspective for you guys about the power of blogging. Remember, blogging takes time. This is not get rich quick scheme. But I just want to give you the example. So when I was a freelance writer, working for other people, trading time for money, I was so grateful for it at the time. It did serve a purpose. But the example is I mentioned before, like, I could write an article for $150. So I actually wrote an article for a geriatric nutrition company, was paid 10 cents per word, wrote a 1,500 word article, was paid $150, one and done. I never made money on it again. That article is still on their website. Now, fast forward to when I am a blogger. I have a one article. Now, I'm gonna kind of back up. I'm going to back up on this because I want to emphasize that every article on my website doesn't get this much traffic. This wasn't like kind of an article that stood out. This is an article that makes a lot of money. Some of my articles don't make a lot, some make a ton. And what I'm talking about is through ad revenue. So when you reach a certain amount of traffic on your website, meaning eyeballs on the website, you can qualify for a high-end ad network. And I am with an ad network called Mediavine. And so I make money just by people visiting my blog and reading articles. And I could narrow down the data to find out exactly how much money I'm making based on the individual article. So I'm not going to get into the weeds of that. But this example of I wrote an article for another company, I made 150 bucks, one and done. Fast forward to my own blog. Article on my blog, it's on high fiber cereals. In 30 days, this one blog made $440 in just ad revenue alone.
wow.
$441 in 30 days, and that's recurring income month after month after month.
So every
Now,
month you get that $430 and
yes,
it can grow over time.
yes. Now it does change over time because, sometimes it's with everything in business. Traffic goes up and down. But that one article that was written to date, well, this data is from last year. So to date, no, it's 2 years old. As of August 2023, that one article made me almost $6,000. So I want to put
Wow.
that in perspective. Probably at this point, it's probably closer to $8,000. So I want to put that in perspective that I wrote an article, freelance writing for someone else, $150, one and done. Built my own blog business. One article, if I wrote for someone else, it'd be 150. To date, I've probably made over, $8,000, $9,000, and it will continue to make money month after month. And I have articles that have made more than that. So,
It's
and again, looking at my
amazing.
data from 2023, so it's 2 years ago, I've made over $100,000 on the blog just in ad revenue. So one stream of income.
Wow.
So I just
On
wanted to share
just
that
the
real
one
quick.
blog.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share
Very
that really
cool.
quick because I just really want to emphasize the power of building your own
Yes.
and creating recurring revenue. So
Yes, the recurring revenue, that's huge. That's so huge. Thank you for sharing that. That's a really cool thing to hear and see and understand the difference between, freelancing for someone else, building their dreams and business versus doing it for yourself. And a lot of times I think people are just too scared or don't know what to do or how to do it. So, tell me a little bit about like someone, like how is blogging doable for someone maybe who isn't techie? Um, how much time does it take? Like I know it's still relevant today. I've had people tell me that, or I've seen comments in groups and stuff. They're like, oh, I would love to do a blog, but I just don't really think you can make money with blogging anymore. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit for like a complete beginner, what
Yes.
that might look like for them?
Sure. I'll break it down. And I think one of the reasons people don't go into blogging is they don't even know it's possible. I didn't
Mhm.
know that this was possible until I saw someone else do it. And I'm like, well, if they could do it, why can't I do it? I remember one dietitian we've actually since had the chance to meet in person, which is so fun. She was being interviewed. This was back in 2019. And she was sharing how she was making $5,000 a month in ad revenue for her blogs. And I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, I would like to do that too. So I think the first thing is discovering what's possible, and this whole world exists. So I'm going to answer your questions about tech, about time, and relevance to today. I want to paint the picture of think back in the day before the internet. Before the internet, if you wanted to make money as a healthcare professional, what did you need? You needed an office. You needed a physical in-person office to bring people to, right? You might have your paper ads, maybe you're in the phone book with your phone number, but essentially you would have to work out of an in-person office. We are now in the digital age. Think of the blog as your online office. It is your online office, your digital headquarters, your home base for making money as a healthcare professional. So I will say too, I do use the word blog and website interchangeably. Technically, it's a website with a blog on it. A blog is so a website has lots of pages, your home page, your about page, your contact page. Then the blog is when we write articles, so content related to our niche, it goes on the blog. So the blog is like new information goes on it all the time versus the other pages that are static and don't generally change. So I do use blog and website interchangeably. So a blog is your digital headquarters. It is your online base. It is a place where you send people, they go there, and then you provide massive value. Most people will never buy anything from you. That's just the nature of any business, but you're providing massive value for free. But then some people are going to be like, oh my goodness, yes, I want to work with you. What products and services do you have available? And they become your clients. So it is completely relevant today. It's your online headquarters. I remember you mentioned earlier, like, people say blogging's dead. I remember when I started my blog and I started reading these articles that even back then said, oh, blogging's dead. And I'm like, oh no, what am I doing with my life? But the really interesting thing is when we see these articles that say like blogging's dead, AI is replacing blogging, all of these things, we go to these articles, and those articles are actually blogs written by bloggers who are making money by fear mongering you to go to their website. So clearly, blogging's not dead because they're using blogging to make money off of our fear that blogging's dead. So, one thing I will say is that with anything in business, the one constant is change. Blogging continues to change and evolve, but it is not dead. It is not being replaced. It is not going anywhere. So say that real quick. Let's talk about the tech piece. That can be overwhelming. We went to school to become health care professionals, not to become website people. But I will say the ability to build websites this day and age is actually very easy. Think of back in the day, if you wanted to create a website, you had to learn code. You had to be a coder. So most of us as healthcare professionals, we would have to hire someone to build a website because that's like you almost got to go to school to learn that. It is complicated. Although kids are learning this all the time. But this day and age, you can build a website without writing code. And I want to say it's easy, but it's also not. Here's what it is. It's different. Think about before you went to school. You didn't know how to do the thing. You had to learn how to do it. So with anything related to business, entrepreneurship, blogging, your journey to escape healthcare, burnout, you're going to have to learn how to do things. But any healthcare professional, like we learned science, we learned really complicated things. Like we could learn how to build a website. So how I recommend the platform for building a blog that makes money is I recommend building it on a platform called WordPress. With WordPress, you have what's called a site host. So you're paying someone for your digital office, your home to live online. And then they have themes. These themes are how you make your website look pretty. So once you learn how to use WordPress, you get into issues with your website. You email your website host, the people that you pay money to, and they'll tell you how to fix it. I think so often we just get stuck in the weeds, but there's ways we can reach out and get help. And once you build your website, then it's pretty easy peasy. You just got to go post articles. So if you feel like I can't do it because I'm not techy enough, I just want to say there are all kinds of people who are blogging, young and old, techie and not techie. It is a figure outable skill. I think of, because I'm a mom. I actually just had this conversation with my daughter. I asked her today, I said, hey, she's in fourth grade. Next year, she'll be in fifth grade. She'll have the opportunity to do band. And I said, hey, do you want to play an instrument next year? No, mom. I was like, are you sure? I played flute when I was in fifth grade. She's like, no, mom, I'm not good at it. And so then I had to have this conversation. And would any of us tell a kid who doesn't know how to do something, oh, yeah, you suck. You don't know how to do it? It's like, no. Why do we tell ourselves that? Like, oh, you're not good at tech. But if it's something you really want, if you're like, yeah, I want to escape healthcare burnout, I want to build my own business, I want to do my own thing, these skills are figure outable. So of course you're going to step into it and it's going to feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Even when I started, I was convinced I broke the whole internet. I didn't. But it's a figure outable skill. So we would never tell a child who's learning things that they can't do it, that they suck, don't even try it because you're just not good. It's like, well, of course, when you start something, you're not going to be an expert in it. But the more you do it, it's figure outable. You learn it, you get better, and then you're in this place where it's like, oh, that wasn't hard. So saying that, and I'm saying this with love, but for people who say that I'm not good at tech, that is a limiting belief. You are telling yourself a story that you can't do it when I'm here to say you absolutely can. And when you say you can't do it, you're holding yourself back. So, anyone who's working in the healthcare space, it took some time and effort to get here. So you can absolutely learn how to build a website and learn search engine optimization, which is the non-negotiable when it comes to making money blogging. Let's talk time. So when I was building my blog business, I was working full time at the VA, 40 hours a week, mom of two kids, and I was doing side hustles, trading time for money, working for other people to make money. Then on top of that, I started building my blog biz. So how much time did it take me? I would say on average, I was spending 4 to 6 hours a week blogging. That was my goal, 4 to 6 hours a week. Now, I will say there were some weeks I did none, some weeks I did more, but that was the average that I tried to stick to. When it comes to putting out blog articles, my goal was 2 to 4 blog articles per week. Not week, month. 2 to 4 per month. So it wasn't that much time. Now, of course, if you have more time, you can go faster. But if you're like, well, gosh, I'm working full time, I don't have a ton, this could be something that you do kind of in the background. And as a parent, I loved it. I'm an early bird. Wake up at 5 in the morning, get some work done before the kids get up, before I would go to work. It could be, on the weekend, I would bust out a few hours on the weekend. I did work 4 10-hour days when I worked my job, so I did have Fridays off. So I used that time when my kids were in school to work on my side hustle, but it wasn't a ton of time. So how long did it take me to actually make money blogging with just working, 4 to 6 hours a week on my blog? I started making money right away, but it wasn't a ton of money. But it was passive income, meaning like I was making money through selling handouts. So people go to my website, they buy a handout I already made, and it was the coolest thing ever. I'm like, I get an email, I made like $6. I'm like, you think I made like 1,000? I'd be thrilled. I'm like, I didn't do anything. It's like people are just sending me money. This is so cool. So I started making money right away, but not like the big bucks, right? I mean, you're not going to leave your job making, $6 here and there, right? But over time, as I grew more traffic to my blog, added more streams of income to my blog, I would say I started making really good income about 17 months in. That's when I started really making good money. And that's also when I qualified for ad revenue. I do have a webinar where I share the specifics. I'm just going to share some of the specifics with you guys because I think I have it pulled up because I want to tell you guys exactly how much money in passive income. So not the working for other people stuff, but the amount of money that I was making in passive income on my blog.
And when
So
you say passive income, basically that is you did the work once to get it there, and
yeah,
now it's just coming. Because I'm going to
yes.
have some more questions on that as well.
Mhm. And I do have a webinar, and Tiffany has an affiliate link for it, and I will share all the details. But I'm just going to
Oh,
give you guys some
cool.
spoilers here. So,
Yeah.
because it's sometimes it's easier, like I'm talking, but when you can see the graphics, that helps a little better too. But so the main ways that I make money through passive income on the blog is selling digital goods. These are handouts, resources, toolkits, selling ebooks, and now I actually sell those books on Amazon so people could print them out and have a real book. Ad revenue, I mentioned that before. Affiliate sales, this primarily looks like Amazon affiliates. So if I'm talking about like a protein powder, I include my Amazon affiliate link. That's a referral link. I do have disclosure that I make money if you join or if you buy something through my link. And if they click on that link, I do make a commission, tiny one, but it's all about multiple streams of income. And then I created a course, and my course was on, it's called Gaining Weight Made Easy, because a lot of my focus as a geriatric dietitian is helping people to no longer lose weight and to gain weight, trying to prevent malnutrition. And so those are the five main ways that I make passive income on the blog: digital goods, ebooks, ads, affiliates, and courses. I did not have all of those streams when I started, but over time I built them up. I started with digital goods, then I created an ebook, and then I made another ebook, then I made another ebook, then I made a course, then I qualified for Amazon, then I had ad revenue. So it built over time. But I'm going to share just the passive income, how much money the blog made in the first 6 months. And this was just through selling digital goods. And it was a whopping $59. $59. It doesn't sound exciting, right? Like, okay, Katie, you're selling me on healthcare burnout. It sounds like 5 to 7 hours a week and you made $59. Is that worth it? No, but hang in there with me because I'm doing the strategy to build traffic. The next 6 months after that, I created more streams of income. Those ebooks started coming in. More traffic is coming in because I'm utilizing a strategy to build traffic. The next 6 month chunk, I made $744 in completely passive income. Getting a little better, right? So that was year one. Now we are moving into year two. The next 6 month chunk, more traffic. I don't even think I added more income streams in that chunk. More traffic, and I made just over $2,000 in completely passive income. Next 6 month chunk, qualified for ad revenue. That's when the game changed. I made $15,000. $15,000. So that was end of year two, and I'm just going to give the last two 6 month chunks. So in year starting year three, that first 6 month chunk, I made 23,000. The last 6 month chunk, I made 27,000 in completely passive income. And put another way, the first year of blogging, I made $59,000 in passive income. Wait, nope, nope. I've got slides pulled up. I want to make sure I give you guys the right numbers. First year, I made $833 in passive income. Year two, I made 17,000. Year three, I made $50,000 in completely passive income. So I hope when I share that perspective, how it makes sense. I'm like, okay, in the beginning, I wasn't making a ton of money, but I knew that I was building the bones of my business to allow myself to get more money later. And I don't share income reports anymore, but I still make thousands of dollars every month. And I don't work, honestly, I haven't opened my blog in probably 6 months. But I'm not actively working on the blog, but it's still making money for me behind the scenes, which is so cool. And the other thing, I'm going to hop on one more thing I want to add. Having a website gives you authority. I often say I am not the only geriatric dietitian, probably not even the best geriatric dietitian, but I'm pretty good. But when people Google things related to my niche, it brings up a website called The Geriatric Dietitian with my name and my picture. And so what that gives me is authority. That also means that I get people reaching out to me for gigs, for opportunities, brands that want to work with me, people who want to pay me money. So I'm able to get the trading time for money, but because I'm a well-known blogger or business or brand, I'm able to charge a premium. Like just last summer, I had it was General Mills, the educational component. They reached out to me and they wanted me to do a webinar for their it was a geriatric nutrition webinar for the leg of their business that's related to like assisted living facilities in a nutshell. And so I did a webinar on geriatric nutrition. This is a webinar I've already done. Slides were already made. It took me 1 hour of my time to present it. I did have one call with them before, like it wasn't a ton of time. And I made $5,000 for one webinar.
Nice.
And the reason I was able to do that is because they were able to find me because I had this blog and I had this authority. And, you know, yes, credentials are great. Yeah, I'm a dietitian, I'm a healthcare professional, but people care more about like, oh, you got this blog and this website. So while the blog does make passive income, it also makes me some active income. I don't want to work with clients, but if I did want to, there's so many ways that I can make money through this blog. And I will say I have kind of hop ship where now I'm so passionate about helping other healthcare professionals. So I don't spend as much time in the blog as I could have, but if I wanted to spend more time, I mean, this is just a beast that I can continue to grow. Right now it's just this fun, like, sure, you make me money, I'm gonna go do this fun stuff that I love doing. But yeah, the sky's the limit with how much money you can make with blogging. And I hope those examples were helpful to hear
Yeah. No, that's super helpful. And Katie, I don't know if I told you this or not, but how I initially found you was because I worked in geriatric nutrition too. Like I worked in skilled nursing facilities. So whenever I needed to look something up, like say for instance, I wanted to give something printed out or recommendations to a patient or family member, I would Google stuff and your website always came up. So then when I think I was on like in some kind of business training. It was like a free webinar for the private practice course that I took that you know about. Um, I saw you come up in there, and I'm like, Katie Dodd. I know her. I know her from her blog. And so, like you said, it builds authority because then, even though you shifted from geriatric nutrition to basically, I would say, business coaching, um, it gave me that like know, like, and trust already because I'm like, wow, her blog has really helped me with my job and I recognize the name. And then it was, yeah, I just think that's a really cool, like how you said that,
Yeah.
how it builds that authority.
And I like
And
to
I,
think, oh, go ahead.
no, you go.
Well, I was just gonna say, because you mentioned like, Katie, I was using your website and it really helped me. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier on about how we got into the healthcare space because we want to help people. Healthcare professionals are helpers. It's just what we are.
Yes.
And I'm just been talking so far about money and how much it's helped me, right? But this whole other side is I'm helping my peers. I was helping Tiffany. I'm helping clients. And honestly, one of the best feelings is when I get messages from people who reach out to me who got massive impact by reading the blog. And it sounds like, oh, they read a blog. Did that really help them? But yes, I have some articles that have been life changing for people. I have an article on nutrition at end of life talking about what nutrition looks like in the dying process. And I get so many people who reach out to me and say, my mom's dying, grandma's dying. We've been fighting because she won't eat food, but now I understand that as you're
Yes.
dying, you eat less food. So they're able to fight less and to enjoy the time they have together. I've had people reach out with that same article who said, I've been feeling guilty that grandma died because I couldn't get her to eat. But now I understand that was just a part of death.
Oh,
And so it's been able to let people get rid of like guilt they're holding. I get
yeah.
sometimes pictures. I have this one little tip on an article related to geriatrics, and it's a small little tip, but it's about like using red plates. And someone made that little switch and they used a red plate for their grandma. And they sent me a plate it's a red plate with like some chicken bones and just a couple crumbles of corn. And they're like, we haven't been able to get grandma to eat it all, but look at this. We found your article on dementia. We tried this one strategy, and for her, it worked and she finished her plate. But it's
Oh, I
things like
love it.
it's that reminder that it's like these blogs are helping people. They're providing massive value and it's giving you money to live the lifestyle you want, which for most of
Yes.
us, and for me, it's that flexibility. So it really is
Yes.
wonderful. I just feel like when we're talking burnout, if you're doing what you love, you're helping people, you're getting feedback from people who are like, oh my gosh, thank you. And you're making money, there's no burnout over here. It's the best
Yes.
thing ever.
Yes, and it's scalable and it's like you said before, massive impact because if you're doing a private practice or working for someone else doing one-to-one sessions, there's only so many people you can help in those 40 hours or however many hours you work. Whereas, like you said with the blog, you can put that information out there so that as many people as possible are able to see it. And yes, it's not the same as doing medical nutrition therapy, but you can still give very good, like, advice in situations that you've seen through your years of experience as a dietitian. And a lot of people can relate to that
Yeah. And you can
because
still provide.
yeah, like
Yeah,
what
you
you
can.
said about the end of life thing, like I saw so many families struggle with that, not eating at the end of life and having to talk to them about that. And I even went to court for a doctor who was sued by a family member that
Yeah.
for neglect because she passed away. of course, well, I don't want to say of course, but thankfully the doctor did not lose the case, but it's real.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I want to add though too is that if you want to work with clients, you can serve
Yeah.
people by working with clients. Or I have one of my clients who is in one of my programs. She is very much like me that I don't want to work with clients. Her brand is the Kidney Dietitian. She helps people to prevent kidney stones, which is a big deal. If you've ever had a kidney stone, you'll ever want to get another one. So what she got was she started doing a course and a program, had community with it, was able to provide vast and value, but she didn't want to work with clients one-on-one, but they kept saying, hey, Melanie, we want to work with someone one-on-one. So she's like, okay, let's do this. So now she contracts with other dietitians and she's the connector. So her clients get to work with a dietitian who's specializes in kidney stones, and Melanie makes money. That dietitian makes money, and the client gets the services they need. So I'm just going to go back to the fact that, like, this online office, it's like the bones of building whatever you want. You can provide
Yes.
value in so many ways, whether or not it's through video, through people that aren't you, through yourself, through group programs, one to one. There's just so many ways that you can make
Yes.
money and impact. It just depends on, like, I guess it's kind of a combination of what do you want and then what does your audience want.
Yes. And that's exactly, the whole point of me creating Escape Healthcare Burnout is because it's not a one size fits all path for anyone. And so, like, even with a blog, if someone wanted to do blogging, inside of the blogging, there's so many ways to do it to monetize it. It doesn't have to be exactly this way. And like, you can combine it. Maybe you love one to one, maybe you do, and that's totally fine. I know people that do, but you only have so much time, so you can do what your limit is as far as what's good for your health and well-being of one-to-ones, and then do these other things on the side. And you also, like you said, build that authority so you can start really charging those premiums versus, nothing against dietitians who do insurance, but I do feel like private pay is probably higher, higher payout for private practice. It's just a guess. I don't know. I'm not a private practice dietitian,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm just
Well,
throwing that
yeah.
out there. But
And I also want to say some dietitians want to take insurance clients because of, like, oh gosh, I have this heart for serving people who maybe don't have money for private pay. But here's the cool
yes,
thing. You have a blog business and you have multiple streams of income. So maybe you got a course, you got ad revenue, money's coming in, and then you have the flexibility that, okay, you know what? I know I might make a little bit less seeing these insurance-based clients, but I can do it because that's not my only stream of income. So that's the cool thing because like you said, there's so many different paths that you can take. And sometimes I think we feel like I've got to take the one that's going to pay the most. And I think that's often what leads to burnout is because we're
true.
pursuing money versus pursuing what we really love. And out of necessity, right? We need money to pay the bill, so I get it. But understanding that there's so many different ways that you can make money and you can build a business based on what you love doing, building up
Hmm.
these other streams of income. I think it's just, I think a lot of it is just lack of awareness. We just don't even know what's possible. So we just get in these
Yeah.
situations where we burn to a crisp and we're like, oh my gosh, is this the way it's supposed to be? And no, it's not.
Or we get overwhelmed by too many options and not knowing where to begin.
Yep, absolutely.
So, what would you tell someone who has been thinking about blogging but doesn't know where to begin?
Yes. So I think, okay. Well, I'm just going to say right now that I do have a webinar coming up, and Tiffany is an affiliate. She has a link to share with you guys. And so, anyone who's watching this before May 19th, 2025, I'm doing a webinar called Make Money Blogging, and it is completely free. It's going to be an hour long plus Q&A. I stay on until questions are over. I've been on this webinar for 2.5 hours. Not that you have to, but I mean, I will stay on until every question is answered. I am an open book. Happy to answer any questions. But what this webinar is going to do is it's going to really show you the behind the scenes look at how I built my blog business. And then I'm going to walk you guys through how to do it. And so the steps that I teach in the webinar and kind of what I would say for anyone who wants to get started, the steps that I walk through are discover, develop, do it. The first thing is discovering what's possible. And then also discovering if I was to blog, what would I actually blog about? Because there's so many different directions we can go, right? So it's the discovery phase. The next is developing the skill set. We talked about how everything's figure outable. Well, I don't know how to do it. Of course you don't. But we got to, develop the skill set to build the blog, to grow traffic, to monetize it, and to think and act like a CEO because you are now becoming the business owner. And then do it. And that one sounds so like, I always think of Nike, like just do it. And I don't mean it like cliche like that. I mean it like overcoming what keeps you stuck. Most of us, you mentioned this, we're overwhelmed, we're overworked, we're burnt out. We can have, okay, this is possible, that's cool, I want to do it. Okay, here's the skill set on how to do it. But if we are so overwhelmed, we're so burnt out, we have some mindset issues that are keeping us stuck, we're never going to take action. It's only going to be an idea of like, oh yeah, I heard, Katie and Tiffany talking about blogging. I want to do that, but then you just never do. So doing it is so important because it's about uncovering what makes you stuck, finding the time to do the thing you want to do, having such a strong passion and why behind it that even if you just have a couple hours a week, that you continue to show up because you know what's on the other side. So even though do it sounds so simple, like, yeah, of course you got to do it, it really is more complicated than that because there are smart, educated, amazing humans who want to do big things and never do it because of all the things that keep us stuck. And if you're already at the point of burnout, then it is a little bit tougher because oftentimes what I'm talking about is like, okay, you're burnt out. Let's add something else, right? Let's add something else that's not going to make you money right away. It'll take time to build up, but the thing is that once you get on the other side, the freedom that's there is so incredible. So there's a lot of work that has to be done to I hope that makes sense. A lot of work we got to do in here. And so anyways, that's what I'm going to be doing in the webinar. And that's what I will say are the high ticket or the high level points. So with this webinar, it's again, completely free. I'm going to have like a checklist. I'm going to do a fun drawing just for people who show up live. It's available on demand if you can't make it. I definitely recommend making it live because we will be doing a drawing to win a course that I sell for about $500. So a benefit for being on live. And if you miss the webinar. If you're like, gosh, I'm in Tiffany's community. I just found this talk with you guys. It's past the 19th. The replay will be available. Reach out to Tiffany. She's got all my links for not just my free webinar, but I also have different levels of programs where I help dietitians and healthcare professionals. I am a dietitian, but I've got lots of other healthcare professions in my world from OTs, PTs, speech language pathologists, therapists. I got all kinds of people in my programs, chiropractor. So anyways, reach out to Tiffany. She's got information on all of my programs and ways that I work with people.
Awesome. Thank you. That actually brings up another point about the not just dietitians things. We're both dietitians, so we're talking about how it relates to dietitians, but I do have people in my community that are not, that are other healthcare workers. So can you just give me some examples of types of blogs someone may do outside of, a nutrition blog?
Sure. Well, I'm a dietitian. My podcast is Dietitian Side Hustle. But the thing about a dietitian side hustle or a dietitian blog, you can change up the name of whatever your profession is. Honestly, there is no difference. Of course, like if you have a specific credential, you do have some guidelines that you have to stick within, like as dietitians, if we're doing medical nutrition therapy, there's rules we have to follow. So follow the rules of your profession. But when it comes to what I'm talking about is blogging and online business, any healthcare profession can do it. The bones of business are the same regardless of your profession. And I will say, again, I'm a dietitian, so I talk to dietitian, but the more I talk about it, the more I hear other healthcare professionals like, tell me more, Katie. I would like to learn more. So that's why they come into this world. So your niche, and so that's really the focus of your blog, can be anything. And I'll tell you one thing that I actually do with my clients, and this might sound surprising. I really dig deep and figure out what do you want to do? Yeah, I'm gonna go here. Okay, so when we are in school and we're trying to figure out what do I want to do with my life, we get this question asked when we're in high school. We're like, I don't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I went to community college. Took a bunch of classes, thought I wanted to be a psychology major, took psychology, no way. Business major, took a class, I want to help people. Took a nutrition class because I thought it'd be easy, was not. Decided, okay, I'm going to be a dietitian. I didn't know what that meant. I then go on to a 4-year school, find out I have to do a year unpaid internship. Okay, get through that. And all of a sudden, I am out of school. I'm a registered dietitian. I've dedicated years to my training, so much money to my training. I am now a dietitian. What happens if I don't like it? Am I going to spend the rest of my life doing something that maybe I don't love? Or am I going to pivot? And this is the thing that's so crazy too, because I think about like the development of our brains. So many of us made the decision on what we wanted to do for the rest of our lives before our brains were even fully developed. Like, let's just think about that for a minute. So I talk to my
Yes.
clients about your blog does not have to be what you do in your full-time job. It does not even have to be your profession. And that's very like mind blowing. Like, no, I have to. Because here's the thing, I'm a dietitian. I don't like working with clients. I thought that was the only path. And I had a lot of like angst about like I don't really love what I do. Is there something wrong with me? No. I just picked it like would I have picked dietitian if I would have really know what it looked like? Maybe not. Well, I would now because now I understand all the things I can do. But when I start with my clients, we talk about what do you really want to do? Now, you can do something completely different and tie in a health component to it, right? But I give people permission that you can blog about anything. I actually have a dietitian in my program. She started out doing a blog on nutrition, but then she burnt herself out in the blog process. And what she realized is she actually didn't really love that topic. So now she is a blogger, and what she does is she helps moms who homeschool kids. She
Love
homeschools her
that.
kids, and so I guess when it comes to examples of blogs for other professions, honestly, there's limitless examples. It's whatever you want to do. It doesn't even have to
Yes.
be in the space of your profession.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Katie. We just talked about this on the podcast the other day too, but like I picked my career when I was 17, and that's why I have pivoted so many times over the years and am where I am today, helping others to learn how to make money online because at the bottom of the bottom of everything, at the core of everything, I realized that I just really don't enjoy being a dietitian. And
Mhm.
I'm letting go of that guilt. Like there's
Yeah,
still things that I like to help people with. And that's also why I shifted away from my blog, is because my blog was related to being a dietitian.
yeah,
And I'm like, but that's not what I want to do. So when I get back into blogging, it will be related probably to the escape healthcare burnout
yeah,
community and everything in there because that's something, like you said, you do it on what you love. Like I was thinking of this earlier today. Like if you could get paid to do something that you love, what would it be? Like some people might say crocheting, and that's fine. People
yeah,
will read your blogs, people will buy your print, your crocheting patterns. I mean, it's limitless. Like you said, there's so much you can do. And maybe you love your job, but you just want the extra money and you don't want to do more nutrition or more healthcare or whatever outside of that. So do something that lights you up, that makes you excited to talk about, that
yeah.
you have that drive to work a little extra outside of your job so that
Yeah.
eventually you get that passive income stream.
Yeah. I also like posing the question of if you won the lottery tomorrow, you're suddenly a billionaire. Would you stop doing the work you're doing? And if the answer is yes, then it's like, okay, well, are you doing what you're meant to be doing? If I were to win $1 billion tomorrow, we would still be having this conversation. The webinar is still happening next week, even if I won the lottery. I don't play the lottery, but if I did, but that's a good way to look at it because
It
it's
is a
like,
good way.
what a wonderful way to think about what you do with your career and your life, creating something that you love so much that you would do it even if you weren't paid.
Yes, that is such a good way to look at it. I love that. Thank you so much, Katie. Do you have anything else you want to share for us before we go?
No, but thank you so much for having me. I know we kind of went on tangents here,
I
but
love it.
I love blogging. It completely changed my life. It is a way to make money through multiple streams of income. It is a amazing way to escape healthcare burnout. It is not a get rich quick scheme, but remember there is none. There are a million ways to make $1 million, but a blog can be at the base of all of those ways. So
Yes.
if you are available on May 19th, Tiffany's got a link for you to register. It's an affiliate link. It's a free webinar, but it's an affiliate link so you can register for the webinar and join me as I talk all things blogging, giving you a really clear roadmap. And I'll be there live to answer questions. And if you listen to this later, just ask Tiffany for the replay and I'll get it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to have you back sometime, Katie. Maybe we can talk about podcasting sometime. That would be a
We
really
could
cool.
talk about so many things. It's like
I
as we're talking,
know.
like, oh no, don't go there, Katie. We only have so much time, but I love this stuff so much. And I guess the last thing I want to say is I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 2.5 years. And I still sometimes when I wake up in the morning get a little teary-eyed because I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. I can't
Love it.
believe that I have this much flexibility, that I get to be present with my kids and I'm not missing the moments that I was missing before. And I get to do what I love, helping other people. Like that is a gift. And so I just want to provide some encouragement that you might have a dream in your heart of wanting to do something, but it feels impossible.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. You just have to start taking steps, even if it's tiny steps. And then eventually
Yes.
you could be in a place that you can't even imagine. So,
If I would have listened to that thought of starting a blog like 10 years ago when I first learned about it, I'm like, think of where I could be today, right? And so I just want to encourage anyone who's had that thought of starting a blog of your own, just do it. Like Katie said, don't think of it, you need the money right now because if you do nothing, you'll still be stuck in the burnout 2 years from now. But if you start taking these tiny actions, you know, week by week for the next 2 years, you'll look back and you'll be like, you won't even recognize
yeah,
what your
yeah.
life is like now versus then. And then you might be at a place where you can quit your job, or maybe somewhere along the way you can scale back and have more
Mhm.
joy and more time. So just, whatever it is, I just encourage people to just, like you said, just take action, make a decision. It's okay to pivot. It's okay if
Yep.
you start something and you're like, this isn't really for me. Just keep going, keep trying, keep pivoting so that eventually you create that life that you know, like you, Katie. I love that example of just waking up crying, like teary-eyed, like this is my life. I can't believe it. You wouldn't have
Yeah.
thought that when you picked your career at the age of what, 17, 18?
Yeah. Yeah. No idea. No
And
idea I'd be doing what
so
I'm doing.
many healthcare professionals don't realize they have the options.
Yeah.
So thank you
Yeah. You
again
don't have to
so
figure it out.
much. I'm so
Thanks for
grateful for
having
you,
me.
Katie. Yes, I love having you. I love chatting with you.
Yeah.
And
I'll
you're
be
in the
back anytime.
community. So if
Yes.
people have specific questions, they can tag you as well.
Yep.
But if you're not super active, because I know you're really busy, you guys can just tag me and I will help you. And I'll check with Katie, to get those specific questions answered as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Tiffany. Bye, guys.
Hey, bye.